All right, well, it has been a week and it is time to recap my no phone challenge situation. I have a lot to say about it, but we're going to spread it out across several videos because the challenge is not ending here. I didn't know if I could completely give up my phone for a week, um, given my attachment to it, like addiction to it. However, if I had to grade this last week, I would give myself a C minus. It was not horrible, but it was not great. And we're going to go over some of the things that made it the week that it was. But it wasn't the worst. The rules were socials for work only. I can only use my phone in between the hours of 7 a.m. and 10 a.m. for socials. And that's only work socials. No substitute screens. I can't, no sitting in existential dread. I was concerned about not having anything to do, anything to distract me with if I wasn't scrolling. My phone use was restricted to texting and calling. And the last rule is that I had to sit in front of a computer or sit at a desk to do my work, not like on the couch or all of these things. I did pretty good. As far as like no socials, I would give myself a C. I did pretty good. Days 1 through 4, seamless. I was like, nope, nope. Days 5 through 7, my husband had to keep like reminding me to be off of my phone, off of my socials. Some of that was because I was posting later or responding to comments later, or stuff came up from work like DMs outside of those hours of 7 and 10. And it was a little bit challenging to wait on DMs for social media because everything feels like it has to be immediate. So that's something that I think I just have to reframe. I don't have to respond to everybody right away. As far as like no substitute screens, once again, days 1 through 5 were pretty okay. Basically the first 4 days, I was really good at no substitute screens. After that, I pulled out my iPad a bunch to watch YouTube videos, like long form videos, which we talked about a little bit at the beginning. I will say it's really hard not to get stuck in YouTube shorts. If you're on your mobile device, the shorts pop up automatically. You, and then it'd be like the stuff with a storyline. And so that was a little bit of a challenge. But other than that, I didn't use substitute screens very much. I will say, with restricting my phone usage, so there was I was not supposed to be browsing or using my phone at all. That flopped after day 4. I downloaded this game on my phone. A fashion design game where you do these puzzles, you earn these coins, and you go complete the storyline. I feel like Thursday night and Saturday night, those took my whole night away. I spent hours and spent money on that game. And it wasn't scrolling, but it was a substitute. And so that didn't work out all the way. The good news is I didn't have any time to sit in existential dread last week. So there wasn't a whole bunch of that. And when I was like, what do I do with my time? I did phone a friend or my mom, or I phoned a friend and hung out with them on the phone and chatted. It was okay. Another thing is, while I was chatting on the phone, it was tough not to scroll while I'm sitting on my phone or not to browse while I'm sitting on my phone, on the phone. So having a conversation, and I didn't realize how much I did this, but while I'm having a conversation, I'm like on my phone doing something. One of the things is that when I was on the phone with people, my default is to use my phone while I'm talking on the phone. And that contributed to some extra browsing. So if I'm on the phone for an hour and a half with somebody, I'm also scrolling Etsy or shopping at Gap for stuff I'm probably not buying. So the whole no browsing thing lost steam after day 5. After day 5, I was just browsing, browsing, browsing. If I was with my husband, he would remind me and be like, hey, aren't you not supposed to be on your phone? And that accountability helped me get off my phone. But the browsing, that was the thing too. There are two things that I talked about that did not happen. I had every intention of creating a home for my phone. I didn't get to it. I wanted to, just didn't. Other stuff consumed my day, my time. And so there was no designated phone home, which means that my phone went back to its default. The other thing is, I didn't create the dopamine menu. I started it, but didn't finish it, and then never referenced it again. I don't know what that is. Some of that is just how I'm built. I have to be reminded that I have, look, a resource. So I didn't use those things because they weren't ready. And one of the things that I think I'm taking away is knowing that my habits will always, always, always beat not having a plan. I have to have designated plans, a designated resource, a substitute routine, or else I'm just going to fall back into my habit. And that's what happened by the end of the week. Overall, if I gave myself a grade, it, like I said, would be a C minus because days 1 through 4 were pretty solid. I would say I used my phone 65% less this week. And even at 65% less, there were crazy significant benefits. I feel like my quality of life has gone up. I am holding conversations better with people that I love, with my husband. I am processing things in real time instead of default going to my phone. And if that is what can happen with just 65% less screen time, I feel good about that. What more can happen if I scrap my screen time completely? I can actually, if you ask me what I did Tuesday, Wednesday, I could tell you. I remember, and that feels significant. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. I'm going to continue with the same rules. I actually did finally create a cute little home for my phone. There's fresh flowers there so that it feels kind of whimsy. The dopamine menu is finished. It's not as cute as I'd like it to be, but it's marked by low effort, medium effort, and high effort things that I can choose from, and it feels good. I think another thing that I realized as I was doing this challenge is the reason I started playing the game is because it felt like I didn't want to scroll because I know what that does to me, but I did just want to turn my brain off. And like I mentioned in the last video, scrolling on social media or being on social media feels like community and belonging with no social emotional obligation. And a game feels similarly. It doesn't necessarily feel like community, but it feels like I'm finishing something, a level, with no actual energy obligation. And it felt like I could turn my brain off on the game. My substitutes for that are in my dopamine menu. Some of the stuff I listed for low effort coloring or painting, scrap fabrics, just cutting up my old clothes and stuff to use for scraps. I have this theory that I can cut up my old clothes and then stuff ottoman covers with my old clothing scraps instead of going to buy batting. I'll let you know how that goes. I could fiddle on my guitar. I could look at one of those coffee table books that I love so much. I love them on the coffee table. I should look through them. More effort, slightly more effort, like medium effort. I could bake a snack. I can mend something that I've been meaning to fix. Do legitimate guitar practice or voice practice. I could write a song. I actually enjoy that. It's my job, but it's what I love too. I could read a book. I could do a crossword. I've been doing lots of crosswording this week. Instead of like when we're driving, instead of scrolling on my phone, I'll crossword. Crossword puzzles are kind of hard. I've really been in that answer key, but that's neither here nor there. High effort, clean the dishes. I actually love a clean kitchen. That is a high reward for me when my kitchen looks spotless, when my dishes are clean, washed and dried and put away. I love that. I feel the same way about the shower. It's high effort, but it's also high reward. And I just like seasoning the shower with Ajax. DIY body care. I love making my own like skincare and body products, but the reward is high. I get really soft skin, really good smelling, soft body butter, and all of that at the end of the day. So, those are my dopamine menu items. That is the recap. That is how the week went. I'm going to keep updating. I'll see you next week. And hopefully, we can do better than a C minus. And I'll just see you next time. Okay, bye.